What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Near Post Podcast. Very special guest today, Kyle from Nothing But Reds. How you getting on?
Peter, I'm good. I could be better after that game, but I'm surviving, man. What about you?
Yeah, look, we're not too bad. Dermot's going to join us in a minute, but come on, how unfortunate is that? Like, I thought we were playing great the first half, and second half rolls around. I don't know what's gone on there.
Dude, it just seemed, and you said it before, it's like it was coming. Like we felt it coming. And despite how well we played, Leeds are good, man. Like they can get a late goal. Like that's what we've been frustrated with in our losing streak. Dermot, what's up, man?
Story, Kyle. How are you? Apologies for the delays, guy.
Yeah,
all good.
It's just we've been
how
struggling.
Sick was that? How sick was that, Dermot?
The game.
Yeah.
I promise. I was watching that game with like no emotion, to be honest. Even when we scored and then when they scored, there was as bad as that. Like I wanted us. I just felt like that was a nothing game. I don't know. I didn't know what did you make of that, guy? I suppose you were speaking on it there just before I came in, but
I don't know. Like I was saying, like it just seems like Leeds were successful in what we've been trying to do and failing this whole season, which is like getting late goals. Like you know what I mean? Like fighting back at the end. Leeds were able to do it, and we played well. Like Peter said, we were playing well. We played a good first half. We got the goal. It's a great team goal, by the way. And then even in the second half, Ali was great. Kabak had an excellent game. And then we concede from a corner. And it just unfortunately, I felt like I knew it was coming. Like just the draw was coming. But you know, it is what it is, man. And I feel you, Dearman. I was no emotion at all when that goal went in. I was just like, oh, we scored, you know?
Yeah, and you kind of feel sorry, Peter, but like you kind of feel guilty not cheering a lot. Like I was just before I came on there, I was listening to Milner's interview, and he was basically he said they obviously asked him about the Super League. He said he doesn't like it. Like he said, I hope that doesn't happen. And the Sky reporter was kind of like, can you give us reasons? He was like, you've seen all the reasons. I don't need to say them again. That sort of thing. So
yeah,
just kind of another
coming out, but. We'll go to the game first, and then we'll come on to that. But your shadow of Leeds kept the ball. Yeah, they were a tight unit today, but just something I want to say. It feels like anything that happens right now just holds no meaning. We were talking about the old firm there the other day. No one really heard that. Rangers beating Celtic. A couple of games that gone on. Leicester, like that's big. That's massive for them, and just everything's being overshadowed by this news. For me, like as a football fan, I'm a Liverpool fan, but I'm a football fan too. It's very disheartening. Like, what do you think it is, Kyle? Like, what's the kind of mood with you?
Same, dull, very dull. It's just the reaction that all the fans had was completely justified. And honestly, my personal opinion, I don't want it. And I don't want it for the same exact reasons most people don't want it. But I'm also kind of a level-headed person in the fact that I get why these clubs are doing it, in the sense that it's obviously going to mean more money. But at the same time, the negative side of that, and what I don't think the owners get, is that you're completely pissing away the history of the club and disregarding the fans. Like, none of the fans want this. And Redmond TV were talking about this, and I feel like it was perfect. I couldn't have said it better. They're basically saying by going away into this league that the 19 league titles you have in the Champions League, none of those matter. None of those are worth it. You know what I mean? And it's just dull. It didn't make that game as exciting to watch just because that was in the back of my head.
Yeah. It's a really tough situation, though, because like you said, we can all see the reasons. I've said here, like, I understand the full concept of why you would be for this and why the owners are for this, but at the same time, I can see the negatives, which a lot of us are kind of outlining. But you have to think, if you're an owner here, this is your business. A lot of these who put a lot of their own money into it, they have a lot on the line, and now, even if they were to say no to this, they're losing out on a potential. Because if this does go through, they're losing out on a massive, like, they are going to be left well behind. You think of Arsenal, Tottenham, of course they're going to snap this up. Like, they're already struggling. They see this, they're going to be left even further behind. Liverpool going to be left behind? Because this is money. Money holds no mercy, and it really doesn't. What are you saying there, Dermot?
Yeah, just you're saying peak time for Arsenal and Spurs to get involved. You're saying Spurs have that stadium to pay back. They're not going to make. They knew they weren't going to make Champions League. Arsenal probably won't even make Europa League. Barca, Real are in a bit of financial difficulties, aren't they? Like they're not really. This kind of suits them perfectly. And the spearhead of all this is, as you've seen in the thumbnail, Perez, the Real Madrid CEO. So what's kind of sick. I was listening to a podcast today as well. Like, and the Liverpool owners and the Liverpool owners, Man United owners, they're in bed together. Same with the Arsenal and Spurs owners. You know what I mean? They're all in cahoots. Like they're, we don't want them to hate and say. We just don't want them collabing together for both their benefits. You know what I mean? Kind of like what have you made of that? Like the way these CEOs have just worked together. What seems to be for a long time.
I just feel like that's a business aspect of it. I mean, the owners, it's one thing with the players and all that, the coaches and the fans and things like that. But I feel like the owners, they have a dialogue going. But in terms of this, one positive I will say is at least Liverpool are in this conversation. Do you guys know what I mean by that? Like at least Liverpool are being included in this, that's a good sign. I want to support a club that's in that top conversation. But at the same time, like you guys mentioned, it's all about money. Money shows no mercy. And if the payment that I saw is accurate, 2.5 billion, 3.5 billion, whatever it is, any team, especially a team like Barca, who's in over $1 billion of debt, they're going to obviously snatch that up. I mean, it only makes sense. If it makes money, it makes sense.
Yeah. Like I said, this is a tough. I get what you're saying there, Dermot, on the collaboration, because like these are business owners. They're going to work together if it benefits them all. But the thoughts of us, colliding with a Man United, an Arsenal, a Tottenham, it would sicken you as a fan, because you're like, we want to get the competitive edge on you. We want to do it fairly, though. We want to do it through a system where we, like United in the years of turmoil, and they're finishing outside the top four, they get relegated. We're like, yes, and we deserve to be there. But if you're in this league where none of us can get relegated, well, the 15 whatever can't get relegated, there's no kind of sense of pride there, because you're probably still going to get the same money. The only thing you can boast about there is a winning the full thing out, and that's it. There's nothing else to separate you from that club. You are pretty much just on an even playing field always.
You
which
earn
is
it.
What I don't like. Yeah,
you earn it, and that's the whole excitement of all the competitions of the Premier League. It's you have to earn your spot.
We had that, yeah. We seen that. What did you make the Leeds shirts? Actually, Kyle, the Champions League, you earn it. Like it must be earned. I think that's what it said. But like for me, I think they were right. Like if I supported Leeds, I'd be proud of what they done. If I didn't support Leeds, which I don't, I seen a few people on Twitter giving out like Leeds that were in their rights. Obviously, I'm sure you've seen the protest outside Ellen Road today. Leeds fans and
those signs. Was it "Rest in Peace Football" or something like that? And then the only shirt I saw, I was doing a live stream, so I may have missed it, but it was about the fans. It said like fans something else. I can't remember exactly what it said. I support
fans before finance or something.
There we go, something like that. I support all of that, because there is no football without fans. And the passion, it's been hard enough this season without fans in the stadiums. I feel like this exacerbates the issue, because fans aren't at every game. They're at a distance. They're already feeling that hurt of not being able to go and watch their club play, especially for y'all over there when you can actually go to the games. And I mean, now it's just like the cherry on top, but not in a good way. Well, I can't think of the phrase, but it's just bad, man. It's bad for all parties involved, except for those clubs who are just money grabbing. The owners.
That's what I think is worst about it, that it's subjective to these 15 clubs and 5 others per year, because the number one thing about football is anyone has a chance, and I'd like to believe that still exists to an extent. Anyone has a chance from a kid. Like, what is that? If you're a kid growing up, like, you're growing up in Leeds or somewhere like that, you're growing up in Birmingham, you've dreams of playing. Yeah, you've dreams of playing for these teams, but they're like, nah, you'll never really make it. 'Cause they'll never get to the Super League. You'll never be a top player. Like, kids dream of growing up playing in the World Cups and stuff like that. How can you take that away from because at the end of the day, they were every one of them players. You think of Trent, a Liverpool lad, he was that kid one day. Like, how tough is that? I seen a comment earlier. How tough is it for the players right now? Because they don't know what's going to happen. They don't know how the fans are going to react, if we're going to get on their back, if we're going to support them. Because either way, they're in a minefield. It's undermine your boss or undermine the fans. They're the people I feel sorry for most, because it's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, what's a madness is you hear Klopp talking and even Milner saying, they're like, when did you hear the news? They're like, same as you last night. Like these are the lads that are going to be playing the Super League. This is the manager that's going to be managing his team in the Super League, and they get no wind of it, and then bang, oh yeah, by the way, this is happening. And they didn't even hear it directly from their owners. Like, a lot of these owners don't even, I know we're in the pandemic, but even before this, never would go to games, never would talk about the club. Like the United, the Glazers, I don't know if you know much about them, Kyle, but like they have debt. They bought the club on debt, and they're actually the only club that take money out of the club. They're the only owners. So Joel Glazer was a big spearhead of one of the main founders, I think, of this new league. It just stinks. It stinks that it stinks. Yeah. Harry brings up a good comment there as well. Slight dig at Arsenal, I think.
Yeah. We'll leave the slab there. Yeah, that's the thing though. Like I said about, okay, fair enough, right? If they said for one season Arsenal are going to be put into it, and Tottenham and Liverpool, because for me, you can't even put us in it this year because we're not going to win our domestic league and we're not going to win the Champions League. So what entitles us the right to be in there? So if they're going to go on history for the first year, because it's probably only the fair way to do it, that's fine. But then after the year, you have to allow qualification.
No. If they're going history, why aren't not Forest, Villa, Leicester have won a Premier League fairly more recent than Spurs and Arsenal? Even if you're talking history of big clubs, we mentioned Rangers, Celtic. I know in terms of football level, they're nowhere near as good as these teams now. But if they're saying it's based on history, it's flawed as well. So,
Kyle, I'll add to that is that history makes sense if you wanted to guess how they're doing it. It's purely financial. If you look at the list of names, those clubs, and there was a great, I don't know how true this is, but there was when Arsene Wenger did an interview back in like 2009 and then again in 2018, and he was asked about new leagues coming up or whatever. And obviously, when you have Barcelona and Madrid playing every week, people are going to come and watch it. Even now, the Champions League, these big clubs have to split the earnings with the smaller clubs. And being greedy, as any business is, you want as much revenue as possible. You don't want to split it with a club who you don't think is as good as you or brings in as much money as you in the same competition. And I feel like that's the driving motivation behind these clubs trying to branch away in their own league, because the revenue for all of these clubs is very similar. They're worldwide brands. They're like the Lakers or the Knicks or the Yankees. Like, they're huge brands. And if they're all in a league together and you have Liverpool playing the top 6 sides, Madrid, AC Milan, all these teams every week, it's a completely new ball game in terms of revenue. Everyone will tune in to watch those games. And I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. Me and Pete were saying, like, we were against it, but even at the start of our rage or whatever, in last night's video, we never really said, oh, I won't be watching this. Like, it came back that we said we still love football, we still love watching it, we still love Liverpool, like, not the owners, we still love the club, like, we're still going to watch, but we never, like, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I'm boycotting this, you won't see me watch one single minute of this. So
no, and I'm not
that's the thing. They know we're so emotionally invested.
Yeah, and even you guys were saying it this morning as well when you were talking. You was like, even if it's a League One side, you're gonna go because you love the sport, and that's what it's all about. Watching the sport that you love with the team you love, and then when it becomes commercially like about money, like when that is the driving motivation, as Klopp said in his interview, right? It sort of takes the magic out of the game, and then the integrity of the team. And I think that's what's bothering fans the most, in my opinion, is just like there's no integrity anymore. It's all about money.
Yeah, and that's the point I want to bring up. It is all about money. He's saying here, American billionaires ruin English football, except we watch games. Most European people, because I can't speak, boys, but they're pretty much saying Europeans won't watch the league. It's not about Roman Abramovich, all these guys. They're kind of subjecting it to Americans and stuff like this, where it's just money. They don't care. It doesn't matter what race, gender, anything. All they care about is money. And the thing is, Europeans aren't going to cancel this. There might be a select few, but at the end of the day, they don't care because there is going to be enough people. Like I said, me and Dearman, we're going to be watching it because we love football. I love this game. There's not a way. Like ever since I started watching this, I can't not watch this because I said it earlier. It's like an addiction. I'm a football addict, and I will happily come out and say that. I might go away, I might go cold turkey for a month, but I will always come back. And I think you'd agree with that, Kyle.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm addicted to following the club. I'm addicted to the news. I'm addicted to the league. I'm addicted to watching highlights. Like everything about the sport. And to be it's kind of funny. I don't like the MLS at all. Like I don't watch any MLS. It's like European football. There's something different about it. And for me, what attracted me to watching Liverpool and watching European football was strictly how it's ingrained in your culture. You guys are so passionate about the sport. It's completely different than anything over here. And I absolutely love it. And I would hate to see that taken away for greed, for money. And I think that's what bothers me the most is that the reason I fell in love with this sport, I don't want to see that get taken away. I think our guy Peter froze. Peter's out, Dearman. And Liz, that's true.
That's Petey gone. Sorry, Kyle. I just read Klopp's interviews on at the minute, so I just thought I'd have a little listen to it.
Oh yeah, what's he saying?
He's just kind of saying, "Don't forget, we have nothing to do with it." He was kind of saying, I don't know who's seen it or not. Some of the Leeds left, them earn it kind of kits in. They actually left it in the Liverpool dressing room as well. Kind of, looks really upset, to be honest. Like, yeah, he looks under a lot of pressure. One sec, Pete. I'm just listening to Klopp's interview there. Oh, he's gone again. I don't know what's going on there. FSG cut his Wi-Fi or something, maybe. But
God, dude, it's just insane. This guy Harry Dean saying, "Is this Footballers Anonymous live stream?" Kind of geeks me out.
Yeah. Klopp's kind of, from what I heard there, I could be kind of going on with the owners. They are really good people. To be fair, he's an employee. What can he say? Like he's under pressure from both sides.
That's understandable too. That's the thing. That's his toughest part. He's getting paid, by these guys.
Yeah.
He obviously doesn't want to go against them, but he also has. This goes back to the integrity I was talking about. Like he wants to stick to his values.
Probably I couldn't agree more, Kyle. Sorry, yes, I should turn that off. Yes. Wasn't thinking there at all in the background, but
that's what it does, man.
Yeah, absolutely, lad. Yeah, he's gone. He's he stormed off there. Yeah, more or less what he was saying was I didn't realize the Leeds, from what I took from that, the Leeds players left them jerseys, them kind of earn a Champions League in the thing. He just got really emotional there, to be honest. There's nothing he can do there, to be fair. Like, Kyle, like, what is he supposed to say, Kyle? Like, what should he say?
Exactly. I feel like Klopp is great with the press. I feel like he always says exactly what he should say.
Yeah. Sorry about that, boys. The Wi-Fi was absolutely in the bin there for a minute, but
we back.
Did I miss anything? What did I miss?
No, just on the interview, he was kind of saying the Leeds players or the Leeds kind of left the jerseys, the jerseys they were wearing in the thing, and he was kind of like, don't blame the players, it's nothing to do with the players, sort of thing. But we're going to see there's Premier League games on every day, I think, this week. Like, they're not going to be talking about the game. Like, what are these managers supposed to say, to be honest? Like, the big city, what are they supposed to say?
Well,
it's kind of easier. Go on, yeah.
The players can't go. Like, that's a breach of contract if they refuse to play a game or whatever. Like, these guys, I said, this is their job. Like, they need to get paid end of the day. Like, this is their livelihood. They can't just... I know we'd all love to see, like I was saying, imagine they all just stood still or whatever, but they can't do that. Like, that's complete negligence. So we're never going to see anything like that happen. So there's no point pinning pressure on these players because, like I said earlier, you can only imagine the pressure they're feeling right now from the fans, from the media.
Yeah,
it's unfair.
Like, all the pressure should be directed to the owners. If they're going to... Like, Liz brings up a good point. Klopp he's fact there. Like, I don't know about that. Like, Kyle, what do you make of it? Like, because this is just going to be the press conference for Arteta, for actually Spurs have a new manager now. So obviously Jose gone, Solskjaer. Like, they're not going to be asked about the games they're playing realistically. What can they say? They can just say very little, to be honest. They've probably been told what to say.
Well, yeah, hopefully. I mean, we hope there's a dialogue open between, excuse me, the team's owners and the manager, because Klopp said it sounded like he just found out when we found out, like there was no dialogue beforehand. And, that kind of hurts because behind the scenes, you want to know that Klopp is on the same page with the owners and vice versa. And to answer your question, I feel like the best thing they can do is like be honest with it, say, I'm employed by the club. Like, obviously, we're going to do what's right for the club. We're going to go out there and we're just going to try to win football games. That's our only job.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to focus on. Like, because what else are you going to say? You have no right to comment on any of that stuff. And that's the hardest part, because I'm sure all these guys want to comment on it, man. All of them want to say their piece.
Yeah. I think we kind of seen with Ander Herrera yesterday, but it was easier for him to say it because PSG aren't in the Super League right now. So it's much easier for him to say that. He's not going against his owners or anything like that.
He's in Leeds.
Potent. Like, let's be honest, lads. So, with, like, let's say the Leeds owners or Aston Villa owners, let's say they were offered into this Super League and they were going to make loads of money. They're owners now. Like, what are their owners going to say? They're going to accept it. Let's be honest. Yes or no? Are they going to reject it?
No. They'll be taking that all day.
Yeah.
Get the bag and dip.
Yeah, the question is, right? You obviously get the bag and dip, right? But the question is, with all the, sanctions, I guess you could call them, that UEFA are threatening with, like, is it worth it? Like, I mean, you saw UEFA's statement. They're against this. They're going to try to get together with the FA and everyone else and try to prevent this from happening. And so with that in mind, and then the response from the fans, like, why would you even want to go forward with this?
Yeah. See, my issue though with UEFA and with
FIFA
is how serious are they about this though?
Well, they're only serious because it hurts their pocket though. Let's be honest.
Look, valid, very valid.
They're as corrupt as it gets.
Valid.
FIFA,
even Sky Sports. The best thing I love. How funny is this, right? Sky Sports won the tail people of the Premier League, and the Premier League is a break-off league, right? They were the catalyst kind of this. They're kind of getting a taste of their own medicine now.
Yeah.
Karma. And I love how they instantly jump on the news. They try to take the moral high ground, pinning down these players, Jamie Carragher, Gary Neville, all these guys. Like, they're all just saving their own skin at the end of the day.
To be fair, I don't know if you've seen the Gary Neville and Kyle. Like it was
Yeah,
all
I
over.
saw
Yeah,
his, and then I haven't watched Carragher's, but I've seen the quotes.
yeah. Like I think it's coming. Like I don't think it. I'm not saying it's made up. Like because I think he's speaking like truthfully there. That's coming from the heart or whatever. But at the same time, Sky are egging him on, saying, you know what I mean, be completely against this because let's be honest. Let's say Sky were offered the rights to these games because I'm sure they haven't. Sky would be like there would be a different tune out of their amount. I could be wrong with that, but that's sort of what it feels like. I don't know what you make. Like what site do you watch? What's the main kind of site where American fans watch the Premier League games? beIN Sports, is it, or
No, so NBC Sports is where I watch it all. Where I get all my news, honestly, is YouTube. Like I'm just a YouTube guy.
Twitter and YouTube.
You know, like I'll watch like post-match analysis of Sky Sports, but for the most part, like I promise you this, I do not watch ESPN FC. Not even a little bit. So, but to be fair, like as you were saying with Sky Sports, like they're telling him what to do. This is where ethics come into it. Like it's not like he's doing anything illegal by taking the side of Sky Sports. It would be different if in your job, for example, your boss was telling you to do something that it's like borderline illegal, right? So like say you're a doctor or whatever, and to make money, your boss is like, write more prescriptions, do this, do that. That's borderline illegal. There's nothing wrong with Gary Neville taking the side of his employer in this instance.
No, I agree with that.
Carragher. However, I do get what you're saying.
Yeah, just like what Liz said there, if Sky did have the rights, let's be honest.
If Sky had the rights to this, they would
there'd be an ad for this already saying how good this will be.
Wasn't there something that came out? I don't know if this carried on through, but when the games came back on TV, wasn't Sky Sports or beIN Sports charging per game?
Sky Sports, listen to this. So, no, they did for a period of time.
Yeah, so, I remember this, yeah.
Fulham West Brom. I think it was Fulham West. This just stood out to me. Fulham West Brom of a Sunday afternoon at 12 p.m. 12 here. Yeah, guess how much you're charging just to watch? This isn't a weekend package, Kyle. This is just Fulham versus West Brom, one game, €15. I think £15. So it would have been like nearly €20 for us. Like
I remember that it was like $14.99 or something, and I was like, "What?"
They scrapped it. They scrapped because the backlash was.
And see, that's what I think is going to happen with this. This backlash is so much worse than anything I've ever witnessed being a fan, personally. Right?
Yeah.
This is really bad.
Yeah.
Why would they go forward with it? Makes zero sense. They're literally digging their own graves as owners, and like, obviously, some fans like us, you said, we're going to watch it, right? But there's also the fans that are like gonna boycott. That's just gonna happen.
They will boycott, Kyle, but they'll be easily replaced by.
Yeah, I'd love to boycott, but I know there's someone else who's just gonna take my place elsewhere. And
exactly.
I'd rather just stay on and join the football because, like Dara says here, I don't that will not happen. I'd say, but I'd always stick with them. And on that, like you're so easy to replace, and they've really proved that. Like we said before, we knew we were replaceable and whatnot, but at least they pretended we weren't.
Yeah. So I was watching Sky earlier. Basically, you know your man Kaveh Peter. I don't know if Kaveh Salah. I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but he was basically saying he was in contact. He was in contact with one of the board members from one of these six clubs. Obviously, they remained unnamed because for obvious reason. But basically, he said they literally. I couldn't believe how open they were. They said, "Oh yeah, revenue, profits, number one priority. Football is our second." They literally straight out said that, which I couldn't believe. Like we knew this anyways. Like we knew this was the truth. Let's be honest. But the fact that they're saying this now is big. Is what I took from that, Kyle. Like they're not pretending that it's not just about the money.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this from a third party here. This is when it changes to like a capitalist mindset. Like when you have owners that are from the United States, right? Or you have owners who come from oil money, whatever the case may be. They have this capitalist mindset. You make money doing whatever you need to do as long as it's legal, right? They're jumping at the chance to make money. That is what it comes down to. And you can't fault them for that. But what you can fault them for is completely neglecting what the fans want, what the sport is about, what the culture is over there. That's where I think the biggest problem lies with the fans. Would you guys agree with that? Like, because making money, it makes sense. Everyone wants to make money. Everybody.
Yeah.
All right. So that's where my head's at with it.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said it numerous times. I can't fault it. They're a business at the end of the day. Like I said, they have their own interests first. Secondly, I can understand why people are going to watch it, like myself, because it is going to be good football for the most part, except for then dead rubbers, like we said. Nice won't be as magical or whatnot, and there'll probably always be a bit of discontent, but football will evolve, and I think if it goes through something like this, we will slowly after time heal. I think it'll take a long time. Sean asked, do you think this will go ahead? I'm kind of on the board, but I'm starting to lean.
Some sort of version
Yeah.
will go ahead. It might be I know a lot of things up in the air, but there'll be amendments made. But I wouldn't be surprised. I'll actually just call on that Mourinho sack, and what I made of that was this is just me thinking myself, but I just had it in my head. Daniel Levy sitting in his office thinking, oh shit, I'm getting a lot of stick here from Spurs fans, from football fans in general, about being greedy, about, this big six, Spurs are crap. But at the same time, Spurs fans have not been happy with Mourinho for what seems like most of the season.
He's trying to win some points back.
Oh, I'll sack him. They're going to talk about Mourinho's sack, and they're not going to talk about us. I don't know. That's just me cynically looking at that, but that sort of stuff does go on. Sure. If they're going to sack him, they would have sacked him after they lost 3-0 to Zagreb, 2-2 against Everton, and he just gets sacked now. I don't know. It's too much of a coincidence for me, maybe, but that's the way I see it, anyways, lads.
Yeah, probably.
I can see it.
But like here, Sean said, like, players aren't going to play for the nation and stuff like this. Yeah, I know it's not going to go ahead right now as it stands. I can guarantee that. It's not going to go ahead where there's Super League, where players can't play domestic leagues, domestic cups, and international stuff. But they are going to come to a compromise, because they're going to work out a way where they can all eat out of this big pie, this big football pie, and we're all the content. And they're going to find out a way in which they all get a nice portion of it. They'll all get enough money and whatever to be happy, because that's what it is. That's the way football's going. But how far is this global, like this commercial side, going to go? Like, I've seen a podcast earlier. Like, how long is it going to be till we see a £300 million player, £400 million player,
yeah,
500 million?
It could be soon. Like we've seen,
there has to be
a 230 whatever Neymar cost. Like it basically has.
And that was undisclosed.
Yeah, well, come on, it was 200 plus, like that name. We can say undisclosed. We know how much that was, how much it was getting reported. Liz makes a good point, the owners, but the only time I've ever seen John W. Henry is literally after Liverpool won the Champions League and Premier League. I'm not even messing. I have never seen him before that. Same way, I remember Josh Kroenke went to the Arsenal Sons owner went to the Europa League final, and he was kind of saying, be excited, this and that. They're kind of only talking when their clubs are doing well. Just they'll talk then after a big sign. The club goes through turmoil. You will not hear from them.
That's just PR, though. I mean, these guys don't know. John Henry doesn't know the sport. Like, he's still learning. John, you know what I mean? Like, these guys don't know the sport like the managers that they hire, right? The manager is supposed to be the face of the club, right? I mean, at least that's how it is in sports, in European football.
Yeah.
Over here, you have players that are way bigger than the managers. But over there, the managers are the face of the club. It would just be kind of stupid if John Henry, like, he would shoot his foot. That's almost guaranteed. Like, he would say something he wouldn't want to say. And I think that's why you see these these owners coming out only when the club is doing good, because you really can't say anything wrong at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, exactly. You see them chat after we win the Champions League. Like, who cares? They could literally say something like say after we won the Champions League, which is what they did. They didn't spend any money. They could have even announced that the day after we won the Champions League. We wouldn't be care. We'd still be pissed off. You know what I mean? Celebrating. Like, these guys, they're so clever. I want to ask about Henry. He owns the Red Sox, doesn't he, John Henry? Like,
yeah, he owns FSG. Yeah, FSG, Red Sox and Boston Globe.
What sort of owner, is he there? And there, obviously, he knows a lot more about that sport. Like, what's he what's his perception in America? Like even the Glazers, I know Stan Kroenke, he moved LA around. They were in, I'm not sure where they were, but I'm fairly sure they were moved. Like what are these owners? What are they? I know they don't care, but what are they perceived as in the States?
From my understanding, just because I'm a Yankees fan. I don't follow the Red Sox. But from my understanding, they're savage owners. Like they'll put a bad word out about you to compete. They'll do what they need to do to make money. I think they're not above putting the Red Sox on the back burner to see Liverpool succeed, which is what we've seen over the last 5 years. Like they really invested a lot of money into Liverpool with the new training ground, the new main stand. That was all them. And in the meantime, like I think the Red Sox won the World Series in 2018. So like I think that's what it was. I can't even remember at this point, but they're not above doing that. From my understanding, from the people, I think Yanks are the cop. They follow him the most. They said they're pretty much the same. Like they're money grabbing when they need to be, but they're not bad owners. They're good at what they do. They have success with what they do. And I think that's the balance. Where do you draw the line? Like for me, they've been great owners for Liverpool.
No, not for me.
Like this,
I don't agree with that.
Trash. Like you can't be doing this. Like you got to understand what you're doing before you do it.
I think I just have to go against you there, Kyle, because I think a world-class manager has done the very, very best out of not the best situation. Look, I know they're obviously inevitably they're the ones that hired Jurgen Klopp, so that's a great decision they made. But they hired him because they knew. Like I know Klopp has spent money, but he's spent money when we've bought player or sold players. Sorry, like I think you've seen with United, right? We know how bad their owners are in terms of like not invested near as much as they should, but the only real difference with Liverpool was we kind of had a world-class manager who could get the best out of it, because Klopp has literally squeezed every last, I believe this anyways, he squeezed every last inch out of player he has. Like he gets the very best. So I think they've been made to look better owners than they are because of how good Klopp is. Pete, what do you think of that? Like that's just how I see it.
See, I agree and disagree, because a lot of what English kind of media does is they only focus on the transfer wages and what's spent there, because like Kyle says, they have done a lot of. I think they came in, they cleared off all the debt, they went in, they done the stands up, training facilities. Like a lot of people kind of see that as nothing, when that is pumping a lot of money in. Maybe, like, what do you want though? What more can we want? Do we want the Saudi owner who just comes in and throws money? And
that's not no. Come on, lad. Even you've been questioned.
I know, right?
No, but like we win the we win the Champions League. We win the Champions League, and what do we spend? We spend less than 10 million the next season. Come on now, come on.
I haven't been happy. Yeah, I've said numerous times the reinvestment has been a disgrace, but I've always been holding out for this season.
Holding out.
How long have I been saying that?
Been holding out, like why weren't you holding out for the season before? Like we won the Champions League and spent no money after. And Klopp, I'm looking at City squad, and they're, I know I'm going off top, but they're levels ahead of us because their owners just give Pep. I'm not saying I would want an owner like that. Let's be honest. I would want that, but I'm not saying they have not backed him at all. But come on,
you got to pick a side, man. You got to pick a side.
I don't think.
I get what you're saying, and I completely understand it. Because I don't want big Saudi Chinese owners, whatever. Like that's not what I want, and that's what I get on Man City about. Okay, but if you step back and you strictly look at it from a business standpoint, take your love for the club out of it, because it's tough to do. If you look at it from a business standpoint, they're doing the right thing. Sell Coutinho. You bring in Virgil and Alisson. Almost, like literally the reason our club turned around and was so successful, Virgil coming in, because before that, our defense was just leaky. Like we couldn't stop anything. They did that. They brought in the right players. They let Klopp do what he wants, with the exception of not spending when they don't have the money. And that's when you go back to like this past transfer window. That's when you go back to this past transfer window, bringing in Davies for $2 million, and then Kabak with a loan with an option to buy. When was the last time Liverpool did a loan with an option to buy?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's like, so in that aspect, that's how I look at it. It's just, oh God, there's good arguments to both sides. There really is.
I think Sean brings up a great comment there, though, because I completely agree. If we had like a decent manager, let's say we like Brendan Rodgers, good manager, no way he would have bet City to a league. No way he would have won a Champions League. Like, he's made this investment. Like, he's made the owners look better than they're. I'm not saying they're the worst owners. Well, I'm discussing what they've done, but I'm not saying they're the worst owners ever now. Before that, like, but they have not. They really, like, even they could have spent even 20 million. Let's be honest, that's not that much them in the January. How much that actually would have helped us if you think about it. So even that, like, not winning the Champions League and not investing, I don't know.
I get what you're saying.
I just think Klopp has masked a lot of problems. Sorry, Kyle, for butting in.
Oh no.
I don't know.
I agree with what you're saying. Go ahead, Peter.
I don't know if I'm wrong, but I thought when they came in, they cleared off quite a decent debt, because the last owners had let us in a situation after that. Andy Carroll and
they 100% did. Yeah,
that was Gillette, wasn't it? Yeah,
yeah, and they came in, but like you're on either side of the pendulum here, because they haven't put in crazy money, right, in terms of players and everything. But why would they? Because we've just seen what City's done. This had never happened before in football.
Yes, no. You're talking scored. It has happened. Chelsea literally did the exact same thing, lad. No. I have to cut you off there. The City thing that's happened with Chelsea. I know Chelsea had more
teams that are scrutinized. Two teams that are scrutinized.
Do you think Chelsea and City fans really care, though? Let's be honest, they don't. Also, you're saying, I know Chelsea had a bit more about them before the money came in, but Chelsea literally first season they got Mourinho and title. Eventually got the Champions League. This aspect works. Like, it has happened. Even as far back as Blackburn, I wasn't really around to really know much about that. But from what I've seen, from what people say, Blackburn was another. So this has been happening, Peter. You can't say City are kind of the first thing.
FSG, right? I'll say right now, I'm FSG out, because I think any owners who've went behind the back and on this, I think they should all be kicked. The only thing FSG have done that really upset me was at times they haven't put in enough money, but I've been okay because we're quite a patient fan base, I think. But the one thing that did annoy me is the furloughing of the staff.
Yeah, there you go.
By that though, I can't say they've been great owners, but I can't say they've been Glazers bad or anything like that.
Yeah,
but I don't
just because they're not the worst doesn't mean just as they're not the worst does, like, Glazer.
I just think they've been mediocre.
Yeah,
up until now, and the furlough. Yeah, I think they've been a 6 out of a 10.
Nah, they've been a 4 or 5. Kyle, sorry, I was kind of butting off. What do you have to say on that? Like, we're kind.
So, as always, I respect any fan's opinion. I mean, every fan has a different opinion, 100%. For me, I just always look at things from an outsider's perspective. These guys are not 100% invested in Liverpool. Liz was talking about it before. They have it's Boston Globe, Boston Red Sox. They're involved in NASCAR racing. They have so much money tied up in other assets and other projects. And not to mention, people forget when they're like, we haven't invested in the club and the players. They built a new main stand. They built a 60 million new training ground. They're building a new Anfield Road stand. I feel like fans completely forget about that inside of the investment. That counts. That's infrastructure. Yeah. That is huge investment for the club. All right. So I just want to put that out there. And with that said, right, because they're obviously going into some sort of debt for that, they're still doing good things on the football field or football pitch. Sorry, y'all. They're still doing good things there. Like we've won 4 trophies in the last 2 years. I mean, you got to look at the big picture, but I do respect and understand why someone or a fan would not like them or think they did a good job. Completely understandable because the furlough thing, absolutely ridiculous. This, absolutely ridiculous. They've done some non-favorable stuff, and I get it.
But you do have to remember they are coming from America, and from what I can tell, even because I follow a small bit of NBA and stuff. It's completely different, the owners, what they have to do and what they have to say in regards of stuff. But just like you said on the infrastructure, I just think British media completely disregard any bit of infrastructure investment because it's not a new player in the team or anything. I know in America, like, they take a bit more pride in the stadiums and stuff like that, and they're a bit more resourceful with that stuff. But over here in England, it's just completely disregarded. They have put in money, and when people say, I hate when people say about how much wealth, like, are they in the top 5? It doesn't really matter because at the day, this is an investment for them.
Like,
why are they going to throw in 100% of their net worth into one club? That's not how they operate.
I'd say like even Everton have billionaire owners, like more or less, like they all kind of have billionaire owners. It's not like you even see, like, just on the wealth of the clubs now, you see Palace rejecting 80 million for Wilfred Zaha last year, a couple of years back. Kind of shows it's not really, they don't need the money, like the players more, you know what I mean? It kind of shows the wealth involved. But the other clubs as well, I think touching on them, Man United, like the
you
biggest.
You understand, Man United have shareholders, so it's a little bit different there.
They need dividends paid.
Exactly.
They're all about their dividend. From I listened to a bit kind of United fan. For what I gathered, like, they really, really care about the dividends. The way they're taking money out of the club. I believe they're the only Premier League club to do this. Like,
from what I know, you can buy stock in Man United. So I mean, it is different, and it's interesting. The British media completely neglects that, as you were saying, Pete, because that's a huge part of it. Like, and it's ironic because the stadiums over there, you guys, the stadiums are a huge part of the club's culture.
Yeah.
Like, just like it's not so much in basketball in the NBA, but in like the MLB, the parks is huge for the club, right? Just like it is for football over there. So it's just something that I like to remind people about. That's 200 million easily invested in the infrastructure of the club.
And the thing about that is, right, it doesn't just benefit the team. That benefits all of Liverpool.
Yes.
That benefits local contractors, people who live around the stadium.
Exactly.
The roads they're building, infrastructure, that everything comes down. They're helping the whole of the city. You have to look more than just the club, because the club isn't there. Look at half of the name, Liverpool Football Club.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think I can understand the frustration because I've been that fan on numerous occasions. But when I look at it, like you said, Kyle, you have to take yourself outside sometimes, take away the bias. And they haven't really stepped wrong, bar the furloughing.
Right. I'm with you on that. That was bad. Bad.
I think they've been poor with some of their transfer policies as well, when they don't spend when the price is right. I get that to an extent, but again, after winning the Champions League, you don't get a bit more investment. And let's be honest,
but you have to remember they're coming over from America where they have caps and everything like this. They don't.
Okay, but they know this. I think they know there's no real caps here. I know they're trying to keep it some sort of a wage structure, but again, what happened in January, getting a Preston player, getting a 20-year-old from the bottom league, from a team in the bottom league of the Bundesliga, like, can they not do more than that without forking out loads? Because I think they definitely can. And again, I just think they've been, albeit they've hired Michael Edwards, they've hired Klopp, they've been kind of masked, they've kind of been the wall which kind of protects them. But yeah, it is all about opinions, I suppose. Yeah, Doug out saying Klopp going nowhere. Forget Dougie. See him in the chat there. Yeah.
What's up, Doug?
Suppose why would he? Like, well, I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't mind to see him make a big stand and say, you know what I mean. I thought Mourinho, he might say a bit more. He might say he's against this because there was reports that he wouldn't train the team, but then other reports saying that's false. So I don't know. Do you think any manager's going to make a stand? Probably not, Kyle. Like, you can't really expect them to either, to be fair.
No, if anyone's going to take a stand, it's going to be someone in the media, someone who has some power in the media, who has a voice. I think it would be not stupid, but I think it would be a little bit careless and reckless to take a stand against your employer, especially now. Like, I just feel like, dude, Klopp is a guy, he's going to go the rest of his contract. He's going to be loyal to the club. He loves the club. He's not going to, he knows it would hurt the fan. as much as it would be a good token of like integrity to stand up to the owners and the Super League, it would hurt the fans even more if he just walked away. He gets that. You know what I mean? He's going to tell you how he feels, but he's at the end of the day, he's going to do his job.
Yeah. Like if this goes through, we're going to be hurt anyway, and it feels nice. Like if Klopp was to stay, at least we know someone cares. He's been like a little dad to a lot of the fans.
At the same time, though, if he left, it would still be really symbolic. I know we wouldn't want him to leave, but if he did leave and just said fuck this, like he would be such a symbol. Like he would get support.
Yeah, but is it enough to turn the tide? I don't think so.
It could be a big. I'm not saying it's enough, but it could be a big factor. Like if Klopp does it, you know what I mean? If a big player comes out, because I still think bigger players are going to come. I just think if one big player or one big manager does something, more will be more inclined to do it. You know what I mean? To show that they kind of still have a bit of power there. You know what I mean? Like let's be honest, human beings are similar to sheep. Like if you see one or two do it, more will be more inclined to. I don't know. I think something like that could happen, but it's all about the first one. And to be honest, I don't see anyone really saying anything too drastic. It's easy, like as I said, it's easy for the Bayern and the PSG right now because they're not officially in it. Yeah. I've seen a bit of chatter from Bayern. I've seen Ander Herrera. Anyone else? Did you see, Kyle? You see anyone else of note? Kind of.
I saw the Ander Herrera thing, but to be honest, I haven't. I haven't watched anything since last night when it first came out, and then I was keeping up with what Klopp was saying, what Milner was saying, and really it's what the fans have been saying. That's what I've been reading into. But like I said, I think it's so reckless to come. It's one thing if you're in the media where your job is to talk about it. But if you're employed to do a job and then you step out of your scope of like practice for the job, it's just not smart. In that instance, you're right. Yeah, it would be contagious. Maybe some people would follow whoever did it, but I don't think it's smart.
See, the thing is, right, Dermot, you mentioned there about the tide and the sheep kind of element. But I said this yesterday. I think these people are so smart. They want to just come out with this. They know they have
of course they're. Yeah.
They are going to target people who they will know will accept this big contract. The referees, all these people, they will sort something out. And once a few of them go, it's all of them are going to go because like it's E or B and they're going to be left behind because nearly everyone in this game is replaceable. And that's what's going to happen. Once they get the big names, the thing's done. But the one thing it's really infuriating me is just the timing because they know how many of these guys are suffering and everything with big up to Doug.
Yes, thanks guys. If there's anyone new there, make sure to hit that sub. Big up Doug. Shows us a lot of support here.
Yeah, but they know with the timing, with the pandemic, with stuff that everyone's going through, no one can go to the games. Imagine if this was happening. They would never have announced this with fans.
Yeah, with fans. It shows how clever they are, how kind of they're cowardly, but they know
how much they don't care. Yeah, cowardly.
And the way they kind of announced it, Kyle, I know time zone different for you, but the murmurs came out about 4:30 during the Man United game yesterday, and then no official announcement from any of these clubs till I think it was around. They said 10 o'clock.
11:30.
And then 11:30 was when it actually broke. So we've done a very late stream there around midnight. So it kind of goes to show the way they just kind of eked it out and done it really late where maybe some people be asleep, then wake up. Then it kind of, if they'd done it where there was fans and maybe at a other time, there might have even been more backlash, to be honest. Like they know what they're at, these owners. They're very clever.
Yeah, very, very clever, very strategic. Remember when they were talking about raising the price of tickets? I think it was like maybe 15, 16 or maybe 14, 15. And in the 77th minute, all the fans walked out. Like, imagine if fans were in the stadium when this happened. It would be nuts. Chaos, bro. Insane.
I can imagine Leeds tonight, say, if the way end is packed tonight. The Liverpool and Leeds fans will be chanting together, though. I think they'd be in harmony. You know what I mean? They'd be like, let's say Liverpool were playing Man United tonight. There was no, you know what I mean, full stadium. Like they hate each other. But if it was at Anfield or was at Old Trafford or whatever, it's going to be, they're going to be chanting together. They're going to be singing off the same hymn sheet. That kind of sums it up. If two clubs who hate each other the most are so against this, it kind of just sums it up.
The thing, this is like, it's been like a common misconception. This came in, right, and it wasn't meant to oppose international football. It wasn't meant to oppose the domestic league or anything. This was meant to be a direct replacement for the UEFA Champions League, right? But see, the thing is, UEFA and FIFA, and they hold all the rights to these other competitions, and they're just trying to back their skin and save the Champions League here. So I don't think anybody, if this ESL goes ahead, I think players will be able to play international, because that's just, they can't take that away. They're going to come to a compromise. I don't know when it's going to be. I just think August. I can't see this going ahead in August, guys. I think it will go ahead eventually, something along these lines, but not in August.
One thing I want to say, when I first saw like the proposal for European Super League, I initially thought it was like a competition, not like an actual league. Like I thought it was like a tournament, like a Champions League, in which case it would actually somewhat make sense. If every year the top teams played in a tournament, not a league, they stayed in their own leagues, but they played in a tournament, and then maybe they were exempt from one other competition, right? Like, for example, the Super Cup, not the Super Cup, the FIFA Club World Cup, right?
World Cup, yeah.
Something like that. I could get behind that 100%. If every year the top clubs played each other, you get the best of both worlds, right? Fans who want to see competitive football, they get to watch it. Clubs who want to capitalize on the revenue, they get that, okay? Teams, fans get to still stay in their respective leagues. You don't strip any history of the club, and there's no like downside to it, really. The only downside is it's more games, which we hear Klopp talk about all the time.
There's so many. They need to. They don't. The last thing they need is more games. You think about it. We're going to wrap up soon, by the way, guys. But just to finish off, like they're going from a massive Premier League season with the Champions League, then a load of these players are going to play in the Euros, then they want to start this in August. Like player burnout is real. Like me personally, just chatting about earlier on the Champions League, I know UEFA want that. I personally love the way the Champions League is now. I think that just like that Bayern PSG game, some of them they're the best games I've seen all year. Like I really, really, really enjoyed them games as a neutral. And that's why I think the Champions League, the World Cup is so good as they are, because these big games don't come on often. It's like, I don't know if you're into golf, but like say the Masters happens once a year. I know COVID, they were close to the idea because of COVID, but it happens once a year. And that, like, if it was on a couple of times a year, would it be as good? I think the hype for these, because they're on, not on so often. I think that's what makes them so special. That's why I'm really happy.
It's a novelty. It's not common. It's not happening every week. This is something you're waiting all year for. You know, that Champions League tie. Yeah. We've had a bad season in the Premier League, but we can throw that all away and we can just dive head in. We got this game in Madrid, then we got this leg in Anfield. This is going to be everything, you know. But now we could be playing them in a dead rubber. Like when have we ever played Madrid, bar like preseason? Yeah, when have we ever played Madrid, Barcelona in the game that didn't mean anything?
Yeah, Kyle, what are you saying?
Like we beat them 4-0 in preseason. Nobody cares. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just, you're right. The magic. You hit the nail on the head. It takes the magic out of it.
Yeah,
that's it.
I think we're going to round up there, guys. It's been an event, a few days streaming and stuff. We kind of felt it's good. And Kyle, absolute gem for hopping on. It's kind of nice to get another perspective, see what kind of the US fans are kind of saying. There you go, Kyle.
Fans always talking facts, so
make sure, guys, if you're enjoying us,
link in the description. So
Nothing But Reds, quality channel, just all Liverpool content. There's going to be a lot more of that to come out, I think, in the next few weeks or so. We'll see what happens. Thanks, Liz, for the support in the chat. Pete, you've anything to add before we round that up?
No, just save the magic.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
That's right. Hey, thanks, fellas. I appreciate it. Had a good time.
Absolutely. Cheers, guys. Big up, Gordo.